Okay, good morning. We're going to jump right into this video. We are working in adorable animals, and Jane sent this to me so that I could review and then do some follow-alongs. So this is the page I'm picking today, and in her book in the back there's color copies of all the pages. So I want to show you how this can be helpful. Sometimes it's a pitfall because you go to it and you want to match everything exact, and that's not always possible. But I want to walk you through how it does help or aid in showing how to pick your colors. Now I am going to be using my Prsmacolors today. So let's pull these up, and they're the Premiers, not the Scholars. I am going to pull my white, that's number 938. Let's see if I've pulled these. All right, let's go with number 1094. And what I've done is just kind of spread these out, and I'm just going to grab like every other color just to help me get some colors going. And I should have pulled these beforehand, but this kind of lets you see what I go through when I pull colors. I don't always keep them all in order in my book, and I need to go back and just put them into order. Okay, so there's 1094, and see it's got a little bit of a green cast to it, but that's okay. And then 941, I'm going to pull that. And 946. Oh, see, that wasn't browns in the front. That was the, I bet that was the grays, and it was the French grays because they have brown undertones. And 947. And there's that. Let's double check because now I'm just curious. Yeah, that was the French grays that had the brown outsides on them. Okay, so let's put that out of the way. Let's get a good look at our little bird here. He's actually got a little bit of yellow in there too. So yeah, let's pull 1098. That's artichoke, and that's just got a, there it is. It's got a good yellow base to it, and again, it looks kind of green, but it'll be good for this. Now, I am going to be flipping back and forth in the book because I want to show you how I do grayscale. When you're doing, I'm putting these in order light to dark. You've seen me do this before, because see, then I get here and I think, well, which one's darker? So if I do it now, it's a whole lot easier to get them in the correct order. That way when I start coloring, I can just grab and bounce back and forth. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to be flipping back and forth so that we can actually look at the bird. Pardon me. When you do birds, try not, even if you're changing the colors up, that's fine. Try not to do it in one solid color unless you're doing something like a cardinal. But even with the cardinal, you've got darker here and lighter right next to it so that wing looks separate from the rest of the body. So with that separation, that is how you're going to be able to get the colors that you need. So up here on his forehead, around the cheek area, the top of the wing, and there where it's lighter, that's where I'm going to pull that artichoke color. Okay, and that is 1098. Looks like, yeah, see, that's what I go with on here. Their colors are just marked so poorly. So I take the page, flip it over, and I put 1098, and it's Prsmacolor. And that's how I keep knowing which colors are which, so that if I ever need to come back to those colors, I've got them listed. So I'm coming in here and doing the lightest parts with this lighter color. Okay, it's the actual highlights, and I'm just getting them in because I don't want the dark to creep in and make that too dark later. So I'm just going to go ahead and get the light in now. I know the clock's not as loud. We are having some work done in the kitchen, so I took that clock off the wall and moved it into my art studio. So yeah, it's just not nearly as loud. Okay, going over here and looking and seeing where there's some around this area of the face. And I thought there was, but I just wanted to double check. Now, if you ever have the need to erase and you have a hard time erasing Prismacolor, if you have a battery operated eraser, it will take up a lot of the Prismacolor. Okay? Prismacolor is hard to lift, but it can be done. Okay, so see, I'm just getting a little bit of that color in here. And at that point, I maybe could have used gray just as easily, but I've got that out. I'm going to use it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put that to the side. Now I'm going to go to my next brown, which is 1094. And I'm going to come right into what I just did. Now, you see I came in, but I'm not covering that center area. I'll come down on each side of it. I'll come up here some, but I'm not covering that. So like up here on this part of the wing, I can come down into those. Just don't cover it because then your highlights are gone. Okay, so I can come in here and go between the two. Just don't cover it. Yeah, and I'm all about the circles, but not with birds, because you've really got to make sure that you get those strokes in so it looks like feathers. And see, now I'm actually going into that a little bit. Can you see that? All right, here we go. I'm going to try not to bounce you. And if I get going too quick for you, that's why there's a pause. Okay. All right, let's see if it'll stay focused with me that close. All right, so then that, and again, writing those colors. 1094. All right, I'm going to go to my next one. Now I'm going to start getting into those browner browns. Okay, so just a little bit here and there. Don't get real dark. We're not on the darkest yet. And you'll have to make your strokes little to be able to fit in all the colors I pulled. Now see through here where it's lighter and then it gets darker on both sides? Since this is the lightest of these three colors, I'm going to use this one in that light area. Yes, then the other two colors will go on the sides. That's right. And this, I mean, Greyscale is not that difficult. You just have to watch that you're not putting all those colors in too quickly. And see, just a little every now and then, just to bring the color. Little choppy strokes. Let it look like feathers. Little strokes. All right, then we're going to go to the next one and see these two are pretty close the same, but they're not exactly the same. Now at this point I want to make sure I have these in the right order. So I have 47 and 46. Okay, 47's there, so 46 should be the lighter one. 46. All right, so I'm going to use 46 next. See, sometimes it just pays to go back to your swatches. I could have scribbled them on paper, but for me, that's a waste of pencil. Some of our better pencils are expensive enough that we don't want to be just using them that way. So, but if that's what you're doing and it works for you, go for it. Now, do you see how I more or less did that whole area? Now I'm going to come in with the darker one. This is the 947. And I'm actually going to put lines in. That's my wing separation. Okay? So I'm going to do it again. This time I'm doing those lines as I go. I'm going to kind of color this in. Get this colored in. Choppiness. Then I'm going to come back with the darker one, the 947. And if you're not using these pencils, you just go back and forth with the ones you're using. I did not even look on my conversion chart to see if these were conversions or not. I don't use my conversion chart a whole lot because I made that for other people that want to see what colors, more so than myself. I'm just kind of grab and go and use my rings a lot. I do use my color rings a lot. I sell a lot of those. I had somebody else order another 400 yesterday. So I got to get to the post office today and get those in the mail. See, little bits of dark. Every now and then, keep them short, keep them choppy. Just kind of outlining there, coming down a little. Just adding them here and there in those darker areas. But see, by keeping this short and choppy, and see if I come here and even go off the edge a little, it does look like little individual bits. I'm sorry, I got to thinking of feathers sticking out. So even when I paint birds, I do that. I use a little bitty liner brush and have little hairs sticking off the edge of the page. Now, you see how we've got that all finished up there? Now, I can come in here and do this in white on the background of the page. It's not really going to show. I'm just doing it in case it does show it all. Then I've got that bit of texture down in there too. Now, I'm looking to see what's going on up here. We do have a little bit of color around that eye. Let's go look back at the original and see. There you go. And it is some of the brown, so that's okay. And then the black for the eye. I had not pulled black. That's not black. I've got colors pulled for another picture. So, got different things all over the place. Let's go in here and pull our black. Because although this is grayscale and that already has some black in it, I want to just make sure that that's really going to show up nice. And if you should accidentally go over the white dot, come back in with a gel pen or just a dot of paint, and that'll take care of that. Now, we said there was a little bit of brown around that eye, so I'm going to come back in with the 942 and just add little bitty. Can you see how I'm doing little bitty specks? Just little bitty. And that's just giving some extra expression. See how it looks a little surprised? And then I'm going to come in with the 941 and do this outside area in a brown. Oh, the beak. The beak and the feet. Not all birds have orange beaks. Okay? They just don't. And the feet are not always black. Now this beak appears to be a little bit of dark gray, and the feet do appear to be brown. Okay, so I'm going to use this brown and put in the lighter part. And then I'm going to come back in with this one, 947. Do you see how particular I was on those feet? Not. And I'm just going at both ends. You don't have to be real particular. Sometimes if you just need the dark color, just pick up one of them. And generally, it's going to work. Now that looks like his other foot over there. He's got his feet spread and he's hanging on. So let's do those same two colors again. Some at the front, some at the back. And then that beak, we said we wanted in some grays. So I am just going to pull 2 grays. I ended up pulling 70% warm, which is 1056. So I'm going to do the darker parts with that. And then 1054. And I'm going to come in with the lighter parts. And then just to lighten that beak up a little, I'm going to come in with white right over the top. All right? That's how easy birds are, y'all. So don't make birds difficult. Now, yeah, it took 15 minutes to do it, but that's not bad at all. Let's go ahead and look at this rope while we've got some of these browns out. When I use certain browns in one area or any color, I like to use it in another area somewhere on the page just to carry over. All right, so what I'm going to use is, let's try this, and I will write all these colors down on the back later. Okay, so 1094, I'm going to come in here and do the light areas. I'm going to do all the light areas. Now, if you find that because it's grayscale and you get lost on where you were, then you can certainly go in a row and do like all of one row at a time and then all of another row instead of skipping around like I am. Okay, just getting that light in there. Let me go ahead and go to the other 2 pencils just in case this video gets over a little before we're ready. And see, I'm going, do you see how I'm going the direction that the rope is going? I'm not coloring this way because that rope grain is actually going this way. If you will stick with your grain, it is going to make your rope look more realistic. Do the same thing when you're doing floors. When you're doing wooden floors, go the direction. You need to go the direction that the grain is going if you want it to look more realistic. And lots of choppy strokes again. Okay, so I'm just doing these 3 little areas right now. Okay, then I'm going to come in with the darker one that I pulled, and that's 946. That darker is going to be all the way over at the edge and some down here so that it looks like it's rolled under. Okay, that's how you're going to get that dimension on this. And I did not even go back and look to see what her rope looked like. Okay, so I'm not sure if she did a brown rope or a gray rope. My memory is not good enough to remember all that. And that's kind of where I said, you know, you can copy all of it if you want when it's a grayscale with pictures or any color. It doesn't have to just be grayscale. Any book, you can decide if you want to copy it completely or if you just want to take the ideas. See, I'm doing this bottom part because this bottom part would be down underneath and in the shadow a bit, and then around the edges, and keep it streaky. And I'll go ahead and go into this one. Go into this one. So you can work in little areas going back to the medium color, which is the 941. Just put some in there. And then our lightest one, we used the sandbar brown, which is 1094. Get all the lights in there. And you could go even lighter than what I went here. In fact, I am going to come in with white. Look how if I just make some strokes in there, because I've not put so many layers in, it'll still take the pencil. If I'd have done several layers, then that pencil would not have been able to grab on. But that should make it look like it's highlighted for you. Okay? So, we just keep working on that, changing out the colors. So I'm going to go in here and do all the lights. Get all those light directions going. And I will come back in and do another part of this that is just showing the rust and showing the glass, because I know that can be problematic for some people, how to get glass to look like it's clear and reflective. So we'll do another video in a little bit and talk about that. I'm trying to look at what else is on the picture that we might not have covered in other videos, so that we can be sure and cover that here. See, I'm just doing the up and down strokes, getting the lightest areas done. And that's where Greyscale is your friend, because it will show you the lights and darks. So I've basically gotten all the lights in and put some in there. Now I'm going to come in with the medium. Actually, I'm going to come in with the dark. Let's do the darkest dark next. And then everything that's left will get medium. And yeah, sometimes it is. Sometimes it's hard to see. Now, did you see there I went a different direction with that rope? Usually we've been going this way, but that one's actually twisted this way. So I'm not sure why, but I just went the direction it was on the page. Yeah, I was saying sometimes it's actually hard to see what's left. With a grayscale, you're like, wait a minute, did I already go over that or not? When in doubt, just go ahead and do it again. You're not going to hurt anything by adding another layer of color. And if you start to lose it, like right in here, it's starting to blend together, I can draw that line in. I can draw a line in here. And see how I'm rolling the pencil? That's because my point's not real pointed, but if I roll it some, I find a point on another edge. And see, I can put that line in there. See how adding those lines breaks all that up a bit? See how that looks a lot different than this over here. And in fact, I think that line was supposed to go there. But that's all right. In the realm of things, it'll all be okay in the end. And if you're not getting exact, that's okay too. We're not trying to do just everything exact and stay in all the lines. All right, drawing those lines just helps define that rope and those edges. We've talked a little bit in past videos how you're going to have lost and found edges, and when your colors blend in too closely together, you lose some of those edges. You do need to come back in and define them and find those edges. So sometimes it's okay to lose an edge if you're up in the clouds and you want it to blend, or doing a flower petal. But if it's something more defined like this, you want to find those edges. You don't want to lose them. So this is just every now and then, just to help get the direction going. And this is going to pop more when we do this background. Okay? So don't worry too much about, oh, I'm losing it. Yeah, we're going to define it more in a bit. So that's all right. That's a shadow from this. Don't worry about it yet. We're going to get to that. When you're putting a shadow in, you want to put the background color in first. So that would be whatever color this wall or the sill is. And then the other color would come over the top, just with a shade darker. So don't worry about that a whole lot. Okay, now I'm going to come in with that lighter one, or that medium shade, the 941, and go do everything that hasn't been hit yet with this color. So just kind of getting in here. There's just not a whole lot left, but there's a few areas. So that's what we want to get now, is just those last few areas that were next to these darks. Not going over our lights too much, just going in here enough to carry the color through. All right. So, and then pull back from your piece, just really lean back from it and see what you need where. A lot of the times I tell people go to a big mirror, go to the bathroom, take your picture with you, and look in the mirror. When you look at it different than straight on, you're going to better be able to see what needs touching up and where your mistakes are. Or take a picture of it. I've taken pictures of some of mine and then posted them and then looked at them and went, ooh, that needed work. One of them I posted was this one. Okay, I'm going to zoom you back the other direction. There we go, because we're almost done with this one. I posted this one and the background looked horrible. And I was like, oops, got to go back and work on that. So I went back and did some more work in it. But, so anyway, we will be back in just a few, and we will start working on some rust and the ball bottle and show you how to do some lights and darks and maybe even this pot. What color did she have the rope? Just because now I'm curious. It was in browns. Hers is a whole lot lighter. So if you like the whole lot lighter, then do that. Totally up to you. All right? Okay, we will be back shortly.